choosing countries, where to incorporate crypto company safely. With Jaguar A, Jaguar Lawyers.
Hello, good day. I'm Jaguar A. I'm the head of Jaguar A, Jaguar CPAs and Jaguar Lawyers. And I build high-risk sectors, companies, fintech, crypto, NFT mainly, around the globe, where regulation enables, banking is feasible, and even taxing is minimal. So I'm here to talk about where to get incorporated. So if you are a gaming company not wanting to pay too many taxes and wanting to have a pretty relatively easier kind of a license, you probably would choose one of the islands. And there's a lot of those, like Mauritius, Curaçao, St. Vincent, etc. However, what happens if you want to build a fintech or a crypto company that will involve gaming? So you'd have to have those licenses, will have crypto in it, so it's a financial asset or not, a security or not, and you don't want to end up in jail about a few years later. I have to tell you that if you've been around in 2017, in the happy days of the ICOs and the STOs, etc., everybody were raising funds and getting money saying we don't need to buy and to comply with any securities law, regulations, etc. And because this is just game money, this is utility, etc. But these days, we're talking 2022, the SEC is arresting and paying a lot of fines to many of the entrepreneurs and many of such crypto companies and token companies that have initiated tokens and raised funds, and now they're required to return those funds, by the way, most of which were spent already, and to be fined with millions of dollars. So if we don't want to find ourselves in that situation, we better choose nowadays where to get incorporated, at least where it is legal, which is a no-brainer. It's legal in most countries to be incorporated as a crypto company. But should we work with a license, a specific license, such as a financial service provider license, a virtual asset service provider, and now the new term is CASP, like crypto asset service provider. And then we're looking to choose countries in which such a license exists and is required, because if we do it in other countries where it is not required, then it will change. Promise me, mark my words here, and quote me in a few years from now, it will change and those licenses will be required. So if we want to sell onwards to the Western European countries, markets, and the US market, we'd better be licensed in advance, unless you only have plans for just a year and a half or so, and you're planning of no future. And that's most of us, it's not the case. So we want to find such countries that do require a license, and that license is to some extent respected, appreciated, and acceptable. So we could choose Estonia, Lithuania, for example, as some of those countries where it is relatively easy to get such a license or registration, relatively so. However, once you get that, try getting banked, try getting fiatizing, getting fiat for your crypto, and try getting to transfer those funds onwards to any Western well-established regular bank. And when I say a bank, I do not mean an EMI. I mean a real bank from which you can pay your taxes, run your bills, and have some kind of a security or insurance over the funds you're put in. So then we're looking at other countries, for example, Cyprus or Bulgaria or the UK even. But then the requirements that are put upon us on such countries are those that we seldom can comply with, because if a KYC is required, and in the crypto world, we're running around with addresses, and we do not want to KYC to know exactly who our customers are, we have an issue. Or what if we do want to know who they are, but that industry will not identify itself? So all we see is addresses, or maybe we sell NFTs via OpenSea or Rarible, etc., other marketplaces, whose buyers are not identified and whose participants are not identified. So we have no ability to know where our crypto has come from. And regulators do not like that, because they would like us to know where our funds have come from in order to make sure that if it so happens that those funds are not the purest, or we're not calling them black and white nowadays, we're calling them green and red. So if those funds are redded to what extent, then they want us to be able to identify who we got those from. So if we choose a UK license, for example, or Gibraltar one, or it used to work very well in Malta, then we will have to KYC our customers in whatever way. So that is a limitation. A lot of my clients would tell me, I don't want to KYC because I will be losing 90% of my market share this way. However, if we want to comply with those, and we have to identify our customers anyway, so my suggestion is use that as an advantage. Publish that everywhere. Do that in a way, take the disadvantage and make it an advantage. Right everywhere that we are identifying our customers, we can promise that way that we're not getting any money laundering this way. Our AML processes would be much easier. And once we would like to take our money from that company, from our token, from our coin, to any other one, to any licensed exchange, or to fiatize it and to get it into a regular bank, not an EMI, you would be able to do that. So those have those limitations, but we use that limitation as an advantage. Or if we have no choice, it is okay, but we'll choose the lesser, the easier countries to get licensed in, but bear in mind that we will have to use relatively expensive transfer costs and commissions, because we will not be able to use regular acceptable banks for that. So that's one issue. It depends on what you care more. People who care more, it's actually a balance between present and future. If we put more weight on the future, meaning we want to be profitable in the future, we're planning to be very profitable, and therefore we like to be banked, because we'll need our money fiatized maybe to pay for suppliers, to pay for employees, and to grow, and maybe to invest afterwards and to use that fiat. We have to have good banking capabilities, and therefore harsh licensing requirements. Or some people would say, I prefer the present better, because getting licensed in the more difficult countries costs a lot more and it takes a lot more time. So that is a preference to a future. If we care about the present much more, we don't mind about the future, we know that in 18 months we're not going to be around, most probably, then we mind our costs nowadays in the present. And therefore we'll choose the lesser expensive countries in which we can get a license much faster. However, beware that we'll probably have our funds transferred and been around in our crypto form, and we won't be able to fiatize them, or after we fiatize them, we won't be able to get them banked. So that's another consideration. Third and foremost, beware that see and you target only the markets, the target markets, not just incorporation, the target markets for which you are able to comply with their regulation. Because having been incorporated in Cayman Islands, in St. Vincent's SVG, or in Mauritius or Macau, wherever, but targeting American customers or not being able to block USA IPs, then if you're targeting that market, you will have to comply with the security exchange regulations, with anti-money laundering regulations, and the American ones as well. So bear in mind, you will have to take that into account in advance. So that's more of a pressure or of a weight given to a future. Taxation would be lower in the less acceptable countries, or in the easier and faster countries to license. So that's another advantage. But usually we'll have most of our revenues towards the future. Could be a near future, but still. So mining about lower taxation is actually seeing future revenues in line rather than current and present expenses as they are now. Therefore, there are 7 countries to choose from, but I would say definitely so that the optimal country would not be the same for each and every client. Every client in every phase of their company and every consideration that they have per each consideration will bring a different optimal country to choose. So what I build for my clients is a matrix of countries and requirements, advantages and disadvantages, so that I can build a very optimal and relatively quick answer as to bearing in mind those requirements. Can we comply with them? Can we not? And bearing in mind those advantages, therefore, which would be the first country to choose, the second, the third, and what would be the cost of these licenses and incorporations. So, first of all, take care building companies. Take care targeting markets. The SECs, the US ones and the other ones are very strict, and do not be relaxed just from the fact that it's been a year and nobody was chasing you, because what we're seeing now in 2022 is fines and arrests, etc., for ICOs that have happened in 2017. That is 5 years later. So bear in mind to keep yourself safe and pay your taxes. Thank you. I was Jaguar A, CPA and Regulation and Compliance. Thank you for having me.